The next department that appears to be on the chopping block is the Department of Education. Just earlier today, Democratic members of Congress were blocked from entering the department's headquarters. Democratic lawmakers had met outside to protest Donald Trump and Elon Musk's plan to abolish the department entirely, as well as attempting to seek a meeting with the department's senior leadership. Lawmakers were not only blocked by security holding the front door, but also by Department of Homeland Security police seen in multiple videos from members of Congress. Lawmakers were told by security guards stationed outside that nobody had accepted a meeting and that they needed an escort in the building.
It is officially over. The Department of Education is done. This is what Elon Musk tweeted on X. I just checked and it does not exist. It was Trump's plan all along. Let's hear it from him.
And I will shut down the Federal Department of Education and we will move everything back to the states where it belongs and where they can individualize education and do it with the love for their children.
People are cheering this decision, and here you have Democrats trying to enter the building.
Come on, hold your face up. Look at him. Let him see you. This is him. Look at it. What's your name? Tell us your name. Give me that ID again.
Giving you the ID. I showed it to you.
So what?
I showed you the ID.
You do what?
I showed you the ID.
Could you let me see the ID again?
No.
Huh?
No.
No? Will someone else ask him for the ID? Will you ask him for it? He won't let me see it again.
Nobody is allowed in the Department of Education anymore, and this is what Trump said in the interview.
I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. And, you know, the people elected me on that. I don't know if it's kickback.
That's exactly what the people want. They want Donald Trump to find fraud and abuse and stop it from the government.
Give it a tug there.
All access.
We're members of Congress.
Nobody's getting in. All of them are getting denied entry right now.
Members of Congress.
We're coming in. Don't lock the door. We're coming in. Who are you?
You're not coming in.
Who are you?
You are not coming in.
One other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states. Thank you very much.
All back to the state. You just heard it from Trump. Washington will not send money to kids anymore. It will come from the state.
You mentioned the Department of Education. What do you think when you saw Democratic lawmakers trying to get into the Department of Education earlier today?
Oh, I see the same ones. I see Maxine Waters, a lowlife. I see, you know, all these people. They don't love our country. They don't love our country. We want great education. So they rank 40 countries in education. We're ranked dead last. But the good news is we're number 1 in one category. You know what that is? Cost per pupil. We spend more per pupil than any other country in the world. You look at Norway, Denmark, Sweden, various countries all up and down, Finland, China does very well in education. And then you look at us. We spend much more money than they do per pupil or any other way. But we spend much more money than they do, and yet we're ranked This year, Biden's last year, congratulations, Joe, we're ranked dead last. So what I want to see is education. Number one, I like choice. We all like choice. But beyond choice, long beyond choice, I want to see it go back to the states where great states that do so well have no debt. They're operated brilliantly. They'll be as good as Norway or Denmark or Sweden or any of the other highly ranked countries. They'll be, you probably have 35 to 38 states will be right at the top. And the rest will come along. They'll have to come along competitively. And by the way, we'll be spending a lot less money and we'll have great education.
A lot less money for much greater education.
The public is aware of the mismanagement, the improper payments.
What about the Department of Education? Now, I don't know that much about it, but I've never read good things. Rahm Emanuel, who I agree with on almost everything, here was a quote. He said, 1/3 of 8th graders can't read, and now he wants to close the department. And I thought, that's probably why they can't read, or at least partly. I mean, the numbers keep getting worse and worse and worse. And I don't know if the Department of Education is anything but, I mean, it doesn't really, I don't know what it does, except take money. It's sort of a middleman. It doesn't like run classrooms or do stuff like that. I don't think it makes policy. So where are you on something like that?
I think that the Department of Education has to essentially be closed. A lot of the authorities got to get sent back to the states. The dollars we appropriate actually need to go directly into the hands of parents so that they can use those resources in their states and in their communities to find the best outcome for their children. When the Department of Ed was created in 1977, our reading scores and math scores for kids 4th and 8th grade were higher than they are today. So it's not worked.
I mean, I read this, I'm stealing this from Nellie Bowles' column, but in the Michigan, the contract from the teachers union says, you cannot be fired for getting caught drunk as a teacher until you do it for a 5th time.
What?
Yeah, the first 4 times, you're good.
They didn't take the Pete Hegseth vow.
Counseling.
I will stop
It
drinking.
is insane to me. Hopefully, with the Department of Education being shut down, the state will be able to handle education much, much better than what it has been in the past.
If you look at what has just taken place with respect to some of the investments that have been made on another agency that people have been talking about for years, but nobody did anything about it, it's absolutely obscene, dangerous, bad, very costly. I mean, virtually every investment made is a con job. There's nothing of value to anybody unless there's a kickback scheme going on, which is possible. And we're going to be doing more and more of that. We're going to be looking at Department of Education. We're going to be looking at even our military. We're going to be looking at tremendous amounts of money, Peter, being spent on things that bear no relationship to anything and have no value. We're talking about trillions of dollars. It will be, in the end, trillions of dollars being absolutely wasted, and perhaps illegally. I would say certainly in many cases illegally, but perhaps illegally overall. If you look at
Trump just said that the Department of Education has been wasting trillions of dollars, and some maybe illegally, so it's well about time to shut it down. But the Democrats are not happy with this decision at all, and they are declaring war on Elon Musk, Trump, and the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE.
Well, first of all, when do you think the last time that these members of Congress were at the Department of Education? That's the first question I have. And now all of a sudden, for political theater, they need to go there and demand to get in. And I love when Maxine Waters says, lift up your face, hold your face up so we can see you, look them in the eye, tell us your name, give us that ID again. From a woman in a party who don't believe you need an ID to vote in this country. I mean, everything about it is so hypocritical and so backwards. And, you know, this whole thing about the Department of Education and what has happened is it's all about Jimmy Carter, who decided something like 45 years ago that we needed a Department of Education in this country. Jimmy Carter was the guy who also made sure that we had, you know, these tough civil service laws so that people who work in the federal government can't be fired the way normal people can be fired. But they created this bureaucracy, the Department of Education, because Jimmy Carter wanted to pay back the unions for their support of him. I mean, this whole thing is about the bottom line. It's not about all the stuff we're talking about here. If you want to talk about the real issues, it's failing with kids. But it's about the bloated bureaucracy. It's about the politicization of unions and political paybacks. We don't need a Department of Education. And right now, our kids are doing so poorly. I mean, we spend more pretty much than any other country spends on kids, and our kids are doing horrible. And the last thing I want to say is, you know what? I wish these Congress people were more animated about the Department of Education when Randy Weingarten and the unions were saying, oh, we don't want to go to school. We don't want to, we don't want the schools to open. It's too dangerous for the teachers and for the kids. This is all political theater.
I agree. I think she's right about this. I think insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. It is time to change it up. People voted for change. They want Trump to do the great things for the country. And it's time to shut down the Department of Education and let the states handle it.
But after lobbying for and securing $122 billion in the American Rescue Plan to safely reopen schools, after $60 billion had already been allocated through the CARES Act, the AFT still continued to push for schools to be closed. Private schools opened a year earlier than the public schools did in New York City. You got $190 billion to reopen schools safely, but guess what? As of November, do you know what percentage of that funding was actually used? That $190 billion?
I know. I know that in New York, in September 2020, because as you know quite well, we both are from the same city. That we opened, and the UFT and the Principals Union and the then mayor did open every single school in 2020. I don't know how much money.
Yes, in the fall.
In September of 2020, every single school was open.
Yeah, but the triggers were put in place that, you had a couple of cases and the whole entire schools were shut down. But my question is, you lobbied for the $190 billion in the CARES package. You actually blame Republicans for voting against the American Rescue Plan because you needed that money so badly to reopen the schools. But guess what? Only 15% of that money was spent as of November. So that means you didn't need that money. And Republicans actually have been vindicated in the sense that we were right, all this inflationary spending actually didn't even go to what it was supposed to go to.
This is truly eye-opening what Elon Musk and Trump and Doge have been finding inside the government. All of this waste and fraud and abuse and corruption. And it's time that the deep state is changed. It is time to change it all and make it for the better. It's time to use American taxpayers' money for great things and not waste it on terrible stuff. I hope you enjoyed this video with me today. Let me know what you think about the Department of Education completely shutting down right now. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video right there.